evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of TheCaliEffect. Today we're going to be doing something interesting. Yeah, I know. It says deck profile at the top. But we're doing it the TheCaliEffect's way of deck profiling. So I really hope you guys enjoy what we're about to do. As you guys has already known, we've already done a saga on Spellbooks. And it'll be extremely interesting to delve into the mind of the TheCaliEffect just to see exactly what he's playing and how he's playing. I know I'm referring to myself in third person, but let's just hurry up and get to the deck. Spellbooks are a very interesting deck. If you guys have not played Spellbooks, I not only have a how-to play series, but I also have 3 amazing games of me playing Spellbooks against some pretty good players. So really hope you guys enjoy the deck profile and take the time out to see the video. We're going to start off with 3 High Priestess of Prophecy. Now, High Priestess of Prophecy is a really good card this format. There are monsters like Shadow Winda, Burning Abyss, Dante the Burning Abyss monster, whatever he's called, and just a plethora of monsters that can't really deal with High Priestess Prophecy. You know, being that 2500 attack monster that can just special summon herself out of the hand, and then you can banish a Spellbook card from your hand or graveyard to destroy a monster on the field. That is extremely good, and that's really what the High Priestess or the Spellbook deck is built back on, is being able to special summon her and being able to abuse all of her abilities. So next is 3 Little Boy, 3 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. This is basically our Stratos of the deck. Being searched by a spell card and then being able to search into the spell card as well as putting a spellcaster monster on his field. I know that his stats seem really weak, but ultimately we can make him a 2500 attack monster and we can do just so many good things with him and just abuse the fact that of his abilities. You know, when it's flip face up we get a spellbook card, or when it's summon we get a spellbook card, and it's also a level 2 spellcaster monster that we can just summon at any given time at one. Next, I opted to run 2 copies of Justice of Prophecy. A lot of people were running 3. I really don't like the essence of 3 because, like, if you do at least open 1 Priestess, one of your Justice of Prophecies are immediately dead and you will be able to take advantage of that. And since the deck is so tight for space, and on top of that you only really need 2 Justice of Prophecies to go off in order for you to consummate your game. Justice of Prophecy is really good. It allows you to plus when you're activating Spellbook spell cards. She's also a 1600 body, so she does have that over temperance. And then just the ability to add certain cards to your hand, like Spellbook of Secrets, Spellbook of Wisdom, Spellbook of Master. Any of your Spellbooks that you need to your hand just by banishing her, as well as the High Priestess of Prophecy in your hand. She's an essential part of the game. Or to the game, to the deck, whatever. Next would be 2 copies of Maxi. Now, this is extremely interesting in the deck. I really want to give you guys an option when it comes to these last 2 latter parts of the game. You can run Maxis or you can run Dualities. Even more so, you can even run Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. As you guys look through my sagas, you can see Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer being ran throughout all 3 series. I really do enjoy Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer in this deck, and I would probably drop both Maxis and Pot of Dualities for both of them. Pot of Dualities does give you that search option that a lot of Spellbooks players like to play, and in a special summon heavy format, Maxi does give you a lot of draw power. So either one of them are pretty fine. I personally prefer Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, but I wanted to give you guys that other option as well. So I'm just going to consider them Pot of Duality. Next is 3 copies of Secrets. Secrets is very obvious. I mean, I really couldn't say anything else about it. It searches all your books. More often than not, you want to open with this card, but you don't necessarily want to search it out with Little Boy every single time. This is the spellbook that you want in your graveyard at most times, because if you do draw Masters, it becomes an obvious free Spellbook of Secrets. This card's really good, and you just have to learn, as even if you are a new Spellbook player, you have to learn when you want this card to your deck and when you don't want it to the deck, even though more often than not, you probably would think you would want it to your deck. 3 copies of Crescent. The deck did lose a lot of power because of J-Day being banned, Judgment Day. And Spellbook of Crescent really does help get it to where it used to be. Spellbook of Crescent essentially allows you to add or pick 3 Spellbooks. Your opponent randomly selects 1 and then adds it to your hand. More often than not, we're going Secrets, Tower, or Masters to our hand, and yes, it does take all skill to play this deck. If we do get to add Secrets, then that's great. We obviously get 3 Spellbooks in the graveyard for Spellbook of Fate. If we get to add Masters, I mean, that's not really bad. If we really want to go into it, we can Masters back into the Crescent and try again. And if we do add Tower, then Tower is going to essentially recycle it if we have a spellcaster monster on the field, and then draw a card. But either of them, there's so many other options. I mean, depending on your hand and depending on the dedicated field, you can pick Wisdom, you can pick Eternity, you could pick Fate, you can pick Power, you can pick Life, you can pick anything. But essentially, this is going to help us speed up the deck and it gives us another option. Keep in mind, if you are playing Pot of Duality, you cannot activate this card and Pot of Duality within the same turn, because this card specifically states you can only activate Spellbook cards for that turn. Next is going to be 2 copies of Spellbook of Wisdom. A lot of people play 1, but the thing that genuinely confuses me is that they're playing Forbidden Lance at 1 in a back row heavy format. So I'm like, the fuck? Why would you even think about doing that? Spellbook of Wisdom really brings what you need to just, oh, you guys want to see it? The fuck? But Spellbook of Wisdom really does bring what you guys need to the deck. Protection for your spellcaster monsters, since you run very little. At maximum, I've seen Spellbook decks run 10, and you need protection from it. So why not run a searchable Forbidden Lance? It's like, duh. Next is 2 copies of Tower. I mean, that's very standard. Tower is the best Spellbook card in the deck. Right behind Secrets, just because it allows you to replenish your game. There's so much concept behind this card, but I'll get into that later. It's just a really good card. 2 copies of Master. There was a given point in time where I was running 3 copies of Spellbook of Masters, and I will get into that actually right now, because Spellbook of Master essentially activates as a Spellbook of Secrets. You normally, if you rip a Spellbook of Masters and you're a good Spellbook of players, meaning Spellbook of Secrets is already in your graveyard, you essentially rip the Spellbook of Secrets. If you have Power in the graveyard, you just leave Power in the graveyard and just wait for the Masters, and you don't necessarily have to essentially keep on recycling your Masters. They are a great card, and it's sometimes a card that you have to recycle. But Spellbook of the Masters really helps you dominate the opponent just by putting that extra Spellbook in the graveyard, and sometimes even copying Secrets to get into another card to fuel the grave for Spellbook of Fate, or even just copying Power to make your monster a little bit too strong. Next would be 2 copies of Spellbook of Eternity. Spellbook of Eternity is really good. Of course, all these cards in here are really good because, like, I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I play Yu-Gi-Oh! To win, so I only play really good cards. But Spellbook of Eternity, oh, the fuck? Anyways, Spellbook of Eternity adds all of your banished Spellbook cards from, banished to your hand. That becomes really important, when we're playing Spellbook of Fate, the best Spellbook in the game. There's not really much else to say about that card. Spellbook of Fate is the best Spellbook card in the game, like I've been saying all day, every day. Now that I say Spellbook of Tower is probably 3rd on the list behind Spellbook of Fate, just because Fate banishes your Spellbook is basically to help you recycle through your deck. There's a couple of great combos with Spellbook of Fate, like you summon Little Boy to Secrets, Secrets to Masters, Masters to Fate, or Tower, or however you're doing it. You set the Fate, your opponent attacks into your monster, you activate Fate, you banish both Secrets and the Masters that was banished, flip your Little Boy face down, Little Boy gets flipped back face up, you add Spellbook of Eternity. No, you do not add Secrets, you add Spellbook of Eternity. Eternity gets Secrets, Secret gets Little Boy or whatever you got, and you keep on going through with that combo. It's just so many things. But essentially, during battle, your Spellbook of Fate flips your Little Boy face down, preventing you from tanking damage and also getting you a Spellbook spell card. That's one nifty combo with it. Another really good combo is that, like, you can banish anything. I mean, I don't think that really necessarily needs to be a combo. And there's little to no response to this card, and that's what's so good about it. I like the wizard with the pointy hat, and that's really all I can say. Next is 1 copy of Power. I really love Spellbook of Power. It's actually my favorite Spellbook of Power. And since I have 2 ultimate rares, I want to YOLO swag, flash it, and blink it in every Spellbook deck I can. But unfortunately, this isn't the case, since I'm not running the Magdalene build, and I really want to focus on the High Priestess build, because that's obviously the superior build right now. Spellbook of Power isn't that necessary, since I do have a big, strong-ass monster, but it still is a really good card, at least at 1 in this deck, being able to power up any of my monsters by 1,000, which can be essential. And then also, when I destroy a monster by battle, I get the search on the Spellbook, so it's like, why not? Next would be 1 copy of Spellbook of Life. Spellbook of Life is life is love. Spellbook of Life is life. I mean, it's nothing else. When you're playing High Priestess of Prophecy, I feel really ignorant not to play this card, just because it does so well, banishing a Little Boy, and then special summoning High Priestess packs in the field for revenge. If not Spellbook of Life, I would probably be playing a 2nd Power or a 3rd Masters, but we're just going to stick with Spellbook of Life just because it brings out our boss-ass bitch one more time to go for another round. And then the last spell card would be 1 copy of Book of Moon. I mean, that's pretty obvious. It's going to mitigate for our for our lost copy of Spellbook of Fate, mainly because if our opponent is declaring an attack, we flip our Little Boy face down with Book of Moon, and then we get almost essentially the same thing back. We get a merry-go-round effect. Woo! Next for traps. Now, this is going to be probably where I get to talk about the Spellbook Tower, Reckless Greed. Now, Spellbook Tower grants you a draw every turn. And as every Spellbook player knows, that we basically get 2 draws. There's memes out of it. There's everything out of it. Everybody's like, oh, you get 2 draws, this deck's broken. And I think Reckless Greed really adds another dimension to this deck. Mainly because, first and foremost, as a Spellbook player, we want to get to our Spellbooks as fast as possible. There's no doubt between it. There will be times where we draw ass hands like Wisdom, freaking Eternity, Tower, Justice, and something really, really bad. Now, pause, and we're going to do a little freeze frame, and then we're going to skip back. Let's say that same hand had a Reckless Greed in hand. Just one. We only need one. And we Reckless Greed into a High Priestess of Prophecy in a Spellbook. That essentially helps us mitigate the thing. And also, since, you know, we're drawing so much Reckless Greed, it does open up the possibility of pulling out cards like High Priestess, pulling that Spellbook card that we need, and just pulling cards that we essentially need to get to our hand. And you guys also have to remember one more thing. We'll draw through Spellbook Tower as long as we can keep it facing on the field. More often than not, people are not main decking Mystical Space Typhoon, so Reckless Greed is a prime option to lean on Spellbook Tower, because we're always going to get that draw phase draw card. We're still going to be digging through our decks through the effect of Spellbook Tower. Picture Reckless Greed as a loan we kind of don't have to pay back, because if we activate it, even just one, we're probably better off, just because it's going to get us exactly what we need. We're still going to be able to draw. This is a really good thing I have going on right here. I think a lot of Spellbook players opt to play it just because it's a really smart idea, and I was actually against the idea of Reckless Greed, but once J-Day comes back, we're running Reckless Greeds and upstarts in this bitch. We're going full throttle. Next, 2 turns. Okay, I'm just playing. We're running 3. 3 copies of Fiendish Chain. As I've always told all of my people that watch my YouTube channel consistently, effect negation is key. Now, I feel pretty naked with just 3 copies of Fiendish Chain. Normally, I run more than just Fiendish Chain. I run some other form of an effect negation. Probably Effect Veiler in this situation because it's a spellcaster monster. I can synchro with High Priestess of Prophecy to make Crimson Blader, because Crimson Blader is a broken ass fucking monster, and it just allows me to abuse a whole bunch of other things, or probably Breakthrough Skill, just because I hate Notorious Beast, whoever plays it. But Fiendish Chain is essentially going to negate the monster's effect. The reason why I pick Fiendish Chain over Effect Veiler, Breakthrough Skill, and obviously Skill Drain is because Fiendish Chain stops the monster from attacking. I don't think that people understand that our strongest monster, besides High Priestess of Prophecy, is probably going to be a Kaiku or Justice of Prophecy. That's not that strong at all. And since this deck does not go into the extra deck, like once every blue moon it goes into the extra deck, unless it's double Little Boy, we really need to protect the monsters that we have at hand. Fiendish Chain not only negates the effects, but protects the monster. Now, this I really did not appreciate a lot, but 2 copies of Dimensional Prison, it's obviously superior to Mirror Force, but then you have to look how Prophecy is. Prophecy is a deck built on protecting your monsters. Is Deep Prison going to protect that one monster? For 1 attack, yes, but Mirror Force is probably one of those things you might have to switch out Deep Prison for. I mean, I've been testing both and both. I do not like Mirror Force as a card right now because it does nothing against cards like Shadow Winda. But then again, this Spellbook deck just does kind of shit on Winda regardless, so it's like, whatever. Next is Bottomless, Compulse, Solemn. I mean, those are just really standard. I mean, there's nothing else to be said. I'm not really liking Bottomless. I'd probably take it out for something else. But the star trap card in this deck is the Transmigration of Prophecy. Now, why did I run it? Well, obviously, because it says fucking Prophecy in its name. It's a Prophecy card. I mean, the Konami predicted that prophecies would come out with this Prophecy card. And, I mean, come on the picture. He's playing Prophecy, so, I mean, I think that was pretty dope. But no, in all essence, Transmigration of Prophecy is practically a book, or not a Book of Moon, a DD Crow / Dimensional Fissures / Graveyard Disruptor Equest type card. Mainly because if I'm playing against, I don't know, Mermail or Shadows or just any deck, and they specifically target any of the monsters in the graveyard. Well, guess what? Fuck you, bitch. I'm going to flip up this card. I'm going to target the monster and put it to the deck. Now, that slows down a lot of decks, and it can eventually even kill decks. For example, if I'm going against Lightsworn, and they just mill those double-equipped Wyverns that, you know, banish their Judgment Dragons, and you use this card to put it back to the deck, well, guess what? They're never getting that Judgment Dragon again. It's just a really good disruption type card, and I really like it in this deck superiorly, because not only does it disrupt the opponent graveyard, it allows us to put certain cards back back to our deck that we need. Cough, cough, Spellbook cards. So if Tower does recycle that one copy of Spellbook Fate and we are grinding in the late game and we need something like, I don't know, Spellbook of Power back to our deck or Spellbook of Wisdom, just any given card back to our deck, we're going to flip up this card, maybe disrupt one card from the opponent's graveyard, put the Spellbook card back to our deck, and then continue to go on with our play, because I feel like that's like necessary. It's almost dire. There's been times where I've drew, for some fucking strange reason, triple High Priestess of Prophecy and a Justice, and I'm like, well, this isn't very nice. And then later on into that mid-game, since I saved onto the Justice, mainly because it was almost practically useless unless I needed it for a beater, I would draw Transmigration of Prophecy, and I'd be like, well, it looks like I can do it this. Recycle one of the Priestesses back to the deck, summon the Temperance, and then just, or Justice and plus off of that, just because it's that good. Now, I am not going to get into extra deck, but on the contrary, I will get into side deck. The biggest reason why I'm not getting into extra deck is because Shining Elf. That's it. That's it. Can we move on? Alright, good. The extra deck, it is so hard, in my opinion, to have a complete, dedicated, good sideboard for this deck. Mainly because there's so many pieces that you cannot move within this deck. For example, you can't really move any of the Spellbook cards out of the deck. And the monster base is so solid that you can't move anything else. So you really have to focus on spells and traps. Well, in order to move spells and traps, I figured that I'd probably put in spells and traps or take out spells and traps. So 2 copies of Light Imprisoning Mirror. Now, yeah, I know it doesn't allow us to activate. You want me to put it right here?
Sure.
Alright, yeah. It doesn't allow us to activate our High Priestess of Prophecy, but more often than not, when we're playing against fucking the Neb.deck, it's going to screw them over more than it screws us over. I feel like Light Imprisoning Mirror is a really good card in that sense. I mean, if all else fails, High Priestess of Prophecy is a 500 beater. I mean, I guess it's not that great, but still. And we don't always have Light Imprisoning Mirror on the field, so it's not like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, needless to say, Light Imprisoning Mirror is a really good card. It shuts down all light decks like Light Sworn, Satellanite, Light.deck, whatever our opponent wants to play. Next is 2 copies of Debunk. Debunk is just, I mean, I really like Debunk. I think that it's a highly underrated card still to this day, just because it disrupts the opponent's graveyard. Use it wisely, Spellbook players. 1 copy of Soul Drain. Yes, I know it's a Mind Drain. Couldn't find my Soul Drain, so I was like, fuck it, we'll use Mind Drain. Pretend it's a Soul Drain. So picture him draining the soul and not the mind. Alright? Can I trust you guys to do that, YouTube? Probably can't. You're like, oh, this is a Mind Drain. You can't use High Priestess of Prophecy. Mind Drain. Anyways, Soul Drain really doesn't affect us in any way, shape, or form, so why not? This one random tech of Curse, Seal of Forbidden Spell, that card is so broken here. I mean, maybe because of the fact that we run like 20 fucking plus spells, and anytime we can pitch one and hit a Shadow Fusion and make those Shadow players cry. The fuck? Anyways, anytime we can hit one of those and just make them cry that bad, we win the game. Noble Knight players, watch out. We win the game. Any deck that's heavily reliant on their spell card, you activate this, you pitch your many Spellbook cards to the graveyard, you win the game. It's nothing else. You get that Ed Nettie smile. You guys know when he smiles, he does a little ear to ear smile, and it's like, man. Next is 2 copies of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Yes, I know they're baby blue sleeves. I don't give a fuck. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror stops all dark decks, Shadows, ignorant decks, Burning Abyss, at the cost of stopping our Kaiku to Ghost Destroyer. Ooh, so I get to lock down the opponent for, you know, not negating Kaiku to Ghost Destroyer, which essentially locks down the opponent. Next is 2 copies of Stingy and Dirge. Stingy and Dirge stops the opponent from going Exceed Summon. There's so many stupid ignorant decks that I like to say out there that Stingy and Dirge applies to, with Olshay, Burning Abyss, Satellanite, or Deneb.deck, Ophion, that Stingy and Dirge just really applies to, and, you know, gets in their gears and just completely disrupts. 1 copy of Defy. I do not like this card, and then I love this card, and then I don't like this card, and then I love it. Mainly because Defy is that card that says, hey, I'm going to banish all cards, and there's nothing much you can do about it. Then the opponent's like, I lose. But if you do not use this card right, excuse me, if you do not use this card right at any given time, you will lose the game. So be extremely careful how you play it. You really could play it kind of reckless, but I wouldn't advise it to you to, just because, like, let's say your opponent banishes all your monsters and you have, like, towers sitting on the field. yeah, you're kind of fucked because you're not going to get anything. But opening Defy is probably one of the most amazing feelings, especially if you're playing against a deck that really needs to get to the graveyard, especially since none of our monsters don't give a fuck about being in the graveyard, unless we want to get all tight on Tower. Last two cards are 2 copies of Spellbook, or Mystical Space Typhoon. The reason why I'm running 2 instead of 3 is because there's not too many decks or not too many sideboard cards that I fear, mainly because nobody's paying attention to Prophecy, so I don't feel that I should pay attention to you paying attention to me because you're not paying attention to me in the first place. I mean, nobody goes around sideboarding mistakes. And if they do, I don't know what to tell you because this is one of the only decks that just massively searches that deserves mistakes attention. So, unless you're playing that one local kid that sideboards all those random cards and rips it, then I don't think you need to sideboard 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. No, I don't. And then if you do, for some reason, I don't know what to tell you because High Priestess of Prophecy is still a card. I mean, you still get to blow up shit. And that's just my logic behind not sideboarding 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Well, here you guys have it. I'm not doing an extra deck. Like I said, if you want to know the extra deck, Shining Elf, plus 14 other cards. Thank you guys for watching another segment of The Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe. But most of all, enjoy.